Hey folks, welcome back to another HP Gaming GameLINK video. Today we have a Kickstarter unboxing for you, which always makes me very, very excited. Today we are going to be embracing the mutant genome, trying to synergize our decks and bring about destruction to all of our adversaries as we explore the 1 to 6 player deck builder that is Masters of Mutanite. Hello again folks, welcome back to another HP Gaming GameLINK video. For those of you who don't know me, and you should by now, my name is Matt. It's okay though, I'm sure we are destined to become the very best of friends. Now, as I mentioned in the tease, we are getting ready to open up another Kickstarter that's just arrived on our doorstep, and because it is a deck builder, I of course am all in. I am talking about Knapsack Games, Masters of Mutanite, which you already knew because you've already started watching the video. This is a game by Andrew Vetterspiel. It is a 1 to 6 player spatial deck builder, and I'll explain a bit more about what that's about later on. I just like the look of it. It looks fun, it looks silly, it looks awesome. It's a deck builder, big tick. Let's get into the box. This one came up on the radar out of the blue, as most of the Kickstarters that we support do, and I instantly fell in love with the idea of it, partly because there was already a solo mode in development, which was fantastic, but there's also a cooperative game, or it's full head-to-head action as well. So different modes of play for a game always appeals to me, only because I can't always play with lots of different players. The fact that it's adaptable from 1 to 6 is always good as well. The art style, things like that intrigued me too. But there is something else about this game that I really, really dig. We will get into that in a moment. Plastic, of course, goes on the floor. Someone has recently commented that I'm teaching my children to litter. No, we always recycle, but for when we're unboxing, in the moment when we're trying to open everything up, plastic always goes on the floor. So art that you can see there looks fantastic. In fact, what I might do, let's bring it down onto the overhead and show you what it's all about. There she is. Look at that. Now, I believe this is Bionica, from what I understand. 1 to 6 players, 14 plus, 30 to 90 minutes. And it is basically a game about X-Men style heroes, or villains in this case, going to town and just causing trouble and taking names. And it is just a little bit of crazy deck building fun, which I'm all for, let's be honest. All right, so let's have a look. We're going to open up the box here, and we'll show you what's inside. Not the biggest box in the world, but that's okay. There's no minis in here. Everything is cardboard standees, which sometimes I'm a bit, but in this case, I think it's going to work, and I'll explain my thoughts about that in a moment. What we'll do first of all is we'll get this fella here and pop Bionica and everything else there on display. Brilliant. Look at that. A rulebook. Who knew? So you've got component lists, overview, meteors of Mutanite, that sort of stuff as well. We'll have a look through these two, and then we'll get into... Now, I will say this game has a ton of punch-outs, so that's exciting as well. You have got normal setup for 2 to 6 players, how to set up the city, your city board layout here. So these tiles are all randomized. There is pieces of the board that are randomized. There is fire damage. There is water damage. You can freeze players. You can pick up different traits and reactions. I believe there is 3 phases: is play, Mutanite, and an end phase, or a replenish phase. Because rather than acquire stuff from a market row, you have to acquire new cards for your deck off of the board, which is very, very cool. So if you like that specific card that you can see, you've got to make sure you can get there and pick it up before someone else does. And you can't just pick up a card. You've got to make sure the zone is clear of other enemies before you do so. That is also fantastic. Not a massive rulebook. I don't mind that. Nice, simple, to the point. Team variants, villain modes, rounds, I should say. Life and elemental effects. I love a simple rulebook. 12 pages, nice big colours, lots of examples of combat and stuff in there as well, which is brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Now we have some punch outs. Now these are the board cards that make up the play area. So you can see here there's this little Mutanite symbol. That's where your cards go, and if you clear out this space of enemies, you can then on your turn acquire that card. If you do acquire the card, you don't replenish it straight away, because at the end of your turn, if there's any spaces that are vacant, I should say, from cards you've acquired, you can grab a Mutanite point, which can then give you special abilities and upgrades, which is brilliant. You will have to excuse me, we are undergoing a kitchen renovation as well, so it's been very hard to shoot. At the same time, I am very tired from many late night D&D sessions for people from all over the world. So we are doing things tough over here in Australia. I'm just going to move those to the side. We've got a hospital and a park, a train station, and the university. Now these, I'll just pop this one out for you, are quite durable. I do like the fact, yep, they're one single-sided. It would have been nice maybe to have an alternate thing there, maybe spread the cards out, that would have been cool, but then you'd have one side that would get scuffed. So I guess method in the madness. But you can see it's a nice, thick, durable card. And then you've got a power plant, a seaport, and they're falling out all over the place. City Hall. City Hall, I don't know, gets destroyed a lot in superhero movies, so I'm not really... I don't know if I want to spend a lot of time at City Hall. Downtown as well, another one that gets destroyed. Here we go. So, one of the cards in your starting deck, or a couple of cards in your starting deck for this game, allow you to use the ability known as Fling, which allows you to pick up scenery on the board and throw them at your opponents in an adjacent zone. Officially, the how to plays and things that I've watched have them moving into a zone, and when it lands in the zone, it does area damage or whatever. But I like the idea of being able to pick up a tree and actually fling it at your opponent for 2 points of damage. That's fantastic, and that is the way we'll be playing it in this house. Chaos reigns supreme here. Just watch Charlotte and I play D&D. So we've got here a power pole, which will obviously do electrical damage. Now these are quite, thick, durable pieces of chipboard. We've got a power plant, some damage tokens. Looks like there's a lock token there for areas you can't get into. Water damage and fire damage tokens when zones are burning, which is possible in this game. You can pick up a car and throw that at your opponent, which I love. Water towers, and there's even an ice cream truck, which you can use to effectively freeze your opponent, and I dig that as well. That's awesome. We have got the heroes themselves, or the supers themselves, because not all of them are heroes, I don't think. You've got a tile that is a target. I'm not entirely sure what the target is about. It's probably for different zones and whatnot. More of those locking tokens you can see there. And then you've got the different heroes. So Bionica we saw before, that's her here. We'll get her. It looks like an Emperor Zurg looking dude. Bionica is a nice sort of, I don't know, just nice thick thing. Again, because if you're like me and you're going to be throwing these around, I'm sort of glad they're not minis, because minis can break, whereas these could be quite durable and stand the onslaught I'm going to put them through. Toxic waste, which is never a good sign, hence the mutations. And then you've got some other heroes and things, which I don't know the names of, unfortunately, but that's okay. There, I'm sure we'll get through it in due course. Plastic bags and storage for days. Love that. That's fantastic. We have standees, and a lot of them, which is understandable, because every one of these, not just the characters you use, even the scenery is placed on a standee as well. So there's plenty of those there. In fact, I have a feeling there's player standees, and then you've got scenery standees, which are flat. I'll show you the difference there. You get some marker cubes for damage or health or something, maybe. Health. I'm assuming it's health because it's on the player cards I can see here. Then we've got, what have we got? We've got some, yeah, so those are the player standees versus the scenery standees, and it's interesting that they've got the two different types. I mean, I would have thought potentially for manufacturing purposes to get all the same would have been cheaper. However, I do like the extra effort to make, or the extra standees in different styles. I think that's kind of cool too. So you can see here you've got the player standees, which are that triangular pinch shape, and then the scenery ones, which are just the little round circular ones. Unless I have that the other way around, I'm assuming I do not. We'll find out. If I do, it'll appear on the bottom of the screen. We've got some power cubes, or blue power cubes, maybe they're mutanite markers. which are just the same sort of pandemic-y style cubes, which is the same thing I recognize everything against and measure everything against. Another power pole. We have some hero cards, hero supers. I'll call them supers because some of them might be bad guys. I do like the fact that you can play a mode where you team up and take the fight to each other and smash each other around the board of the city. That's kind of cool. So we have Adria, who has starting traits. So you choose one of those starting traits and gives you abilities. And as you gain Mutanite, you can, if you get to 3, you can actually add an extra trait to your character. And then you've got on the back, it's got a bit of a explanation of the different abilities and things as well and how they work. Oh, so it looks like maybe the starting decks are slightly different. Bionica, she can use Power Fists, Marksmanship, Absorption, absorb extra powers. And you've got the Death Ray, Ground Pound. Yes, so it looks like they have different starting decks. That's cool as well. I dig that. Crackerjack, the Jackrabbit, Stunt Rider, Energy Projection, High Voltage. Yeah, I can dig that. Static Field, these are all defense fields against attacks and lightning attacks, and they also do potentially lightning damage as well. Crush, who just looks mean and nasty. And he's got some crazy abilities as well. He can petrify people, of course he can, and then crush them into oblivion. Catalyst, who is some sort of pyromancer character with a jetpack and has healing abilities. Healing factor, each turn gain 2 life for nothing. Just do it. Wow. Shock and awe, I love it. I bet you have damage issues though. Ominous. Now there's a villain if ever I saw one. Ominous has Frost Hands, Frostbite, and Mind Control. What does Mind Control let you do? Your target chooses and discards a card. Wow, okay, so that sort of limits the other players, what they can do. Plasm, who has Acid Hands, Camouflage, and Super Swimming abilities. I like that. Acid Hands, Camouflage. I do like too that you've got turn sequence here and then the status effects on each card. So everyone's got a player aid on their player board, which is really fantastic. The Claw, who has Dragon Eyes, Kraken Call, and Spike Skin. I don't know who I want to play as first. Do I want to play as the healer? Do I want to play as someone who's just going to petrify everyone and just chomp on their bits? I don't know. Man, that's a hard one. That's a hard one. I like it. All right, so we've got some cards here. Now, these are the trait cards with this back here. And you'll use those to assign special abilities to your character as you level up throughout the course of the game. Obviously, the more you level up, the more damage you will be able to deal. And potentially the less damage you'll be able to receive as well. Now, at the start of the game, as you heard me mention earlier, you will choose from a pool of 3 starting traits, and then obviously you'll be able to gain more as the game goes on. I believe this deck all has the same back. Yep, I love it. So you've got the absorption method. Once on your turn, when you deal damage with lightning, you get to draw an extra card. Handy. Acid Hands. Whoops. Once on your turn, add a poison damage to your fling attack or return attack. Camouflage. Each turn for each tree in your zone prevents 3 damage from the first attack targeting you, including elemental damage. Dragon Eyes. I do like the comic booky style. The drawings on these are fantastic. Energy Projection. Frost Hands. We are shooting in high def, so you can always pause the video if I go too quickly. I just want to skim through these. Healing Factor we saw before. High Voltage. Your electronic damage deals an extra additional 2 damage. Hot Hands, add fire to your melee attack. On your turn, if you're already dashed, you can dash again with a jetpack. Kraken Call, on your turn, deal 2 damage to a target in a zone with water. Your ranged attacks deal an additional 1 point of damage. That's actually a cool one. I like that. Mass Momentum. After the second time you dash, do a melee attack of 3 points. Ouch. Mind Control, Power Fists, Pyrokinesis. Yep, Spike Skin. Yep, Stone Skin. Yeah, makes sense to me. Stunt Rider. So I like you can develop a character based on, obviously drawing the traits is randomized after the first 3, but it means that you may draw a starting trait of someone else's and be able to use that power against them, and then the lessons learned, make sure you choose that one next time. Super Strength. Super Swimming ability. Once on your turn, put water in your zone or dash to a zone with water. Telekinesis. Throw objects. Voodoo. Opponents take double damage from poison. Includes gaining and drawing poison. Wow, I do like the cards aren't massive as well. It's not your normal standard size decks of cards, which is not a bad thing. Something a bit different for a change, which is nice. It probably would have been easier in terms of production as well. Now I'm assuming all the cards with the Masters of Mutanite logo on them are from the core deck. So more plastic for the floor. Where are we? Where are we? It is also school holidays, and we've had another game arrive very, very recently, which I'm very excited about. And that is something I'm going to get Charlotte to unbox with me, because it's been a while since Charlotte's been able to do a video with us, because she's been at school. So we're going to get her to join in there and show you all what she's been experiencing, talk to you about what's been going on. So the deck, back of the deck there, the logo is very, very cool. Nice comic book style, lightning coming out. Pick up. If there are no opponents in your zone, gain the card in it. So this is starting cards. The pickup, I think, is a base card in every player's deck. Punch, melee attack, 2 damage. That's pretty straightforward. Comboing that, base 2 damage. And fling, there you go. So you can use that card to pick up objects in your zone and throw them across the board at other players. And that is just fantastic. Yeah, these are all starting cards. Cleanse. Remove up to 5 total or water. So you can move up to 5 total. Fire or water from your zone, poison from your discard, or any frozen objects in front of you. So that allows you to clear the board of all the crazies. That's a great way, great game mechanic to wipe the board clear for a round before you start flinging more crazy damage absolutely everywhere. I dig that. That's fantastic. I'm intrigued as hell. I obviously haven't played it. I've watched a couple of videos, but the idea of picking up that scenery and throwing it across the board, even though you're not meant to do that, that's a lot of fun. Come on. It's reminiscent of crossbows and catapults, or Catapult Kingdoms, the newer version of same, just with cardboard as opposed to plastic. So I think it's actually safer than crossbows and catapults, believe it or not. More plastic for the floor. All right, we've got some, looks like condition cards here. I'll put those to the side. And we've got more of the main deck cards. So poison, when you gain this, take 1 damage. When you draw this, take 1 damage, discard it and draw another card. So it's an ongoing poison effect. So don't put those in your deck. Wow, there's a lot of them as well. So if you've got a lot of poison cards in your deck and you're drawing multiple poison cards in a turn, you have 4 cards in your hand, unless obviously game effects affect that. Which means you can effectively draw 4 points of damage for yourself on any given one turn. Shuffle well, people. Shuffle well. These look like these are frost condition cards. When you receive this, take 1 damage for each frost you have. You cannot dash diagonally. So again, these are more condition cards similar to your poison, but they just accumulate. They don't actually go back into your deck as such. Then we have one last deck of cards here, and that's pretty much it. There's not a lot more to this game. It's just, yeah, I don't know. It looks pretty simple to play in terms of your standard deck builders. Plastic on the floor. Again, more backs there, which is all fantastic. We have Acid Rain, 3 damage, 1 poison, 1 water. You can actually activate this with one of your Mutanites and add 1 poison for each water in that person's zone. Then you've got a Blizzard card, which adds a Frost card, Boulder Dash, Bubble Shield, Cyclone, Death Ray. So some of these are starting cards for each of the individual characters. Earthquake, 5 damage, plus 2 per object in your zone if you spend 2 Mutanite. So risk versus reward, because you'll need that Mutanite to level up and gain more and more traits. But if you wanted to, you could spend that Mutanite to give you more power, which is just crazy. Elasticity, move another player to any zone or dash to any zone. Electrify, which will give you 2 electronic damage. Fire Shield, so that prevents fire damage. Fireball, yep, range attack. Flame Kick. Forearm Fury, you can see this where these characters or cards belong to. Freezing Rain, Frost Bolt, Gas Breath. Well, that's just nasty. Gas Form, Ground Pound, Heal. A player in your zone gains 3 life, plus 2 life per water in your zone. Healing Wind, Heat Shock, Ice Punch, Jolt, Mind Melt, Ninjutsu, Petrify, Poison Pitch, Power Pelt, Seduction. You may move your target one zone and cause them 2 damage. Sonic Scream. Static Field, Super Speed, Teleport, yes, Thunderstorm, Toxic Blaze, Trail of Fire, a Tsunami, 4 damage and 2 waters go out on the board. Vampirism, 3 damage. If you dealt damage, you gain 3 life. Holy goodness gracious me. Venom Fangs, shuffle their discard pile into their deck after adding 2 poison to their... Wow, there are so many ways to cause damage to other players. There's a lot of take that in this game, and I am here for it. That is fantastic. Water Blast and Wind Breath. Wow, that was a pack of absolute crazy. I love that. And because you're picking cards up off the board and you're drawing 4 cards per turn, and the starting set of cards is only 8 cards, so round 3 is when it's going to get real, because there's going to be some crazy cards coming out really, really quickly. And I think that's just fantastic. Wow. Okay, not a lot to unpack, but a lot to unpack. There is a lot going on here. Again, I know the basic gist of the game. I need to get into the guts of it. This is something that, even though it says 14 plus, Charlotte's going to the symbology looks pretty good. Charlotte's going to be able to understand this really well. But look, first things first, as we have been doing, we're going to show you what it looks like when it's all set up. So just imagine for a moment you're sitting at the table, it's all set up, ready to go for the first time. This, my friends, is how it looks. And there you go. That is what it looks like when it's all set up, all ready to go. There is a ton of stuff that I love about this. The way it looks up with all the different set up with all different standees and things on, all the scenery that you can literally mess with and deploy to use to destroy your opponents. The solo player mode intrigues me. The villain mode, where you pick one of the characters as the villain and you all team up against them. Team mode, 4-player mode where you go basically head to, or 3 versus 3 mode, all that sort of stuff. There is a lot going on here in such a simple style of game. Great stylized pieces, lots of storage, baggies, all that sort of stuff. I'm digging it. Can't wait to get this to the table. That is Masters of Mutanite. I am Matt. You've been watching HP Gaming GameLINK. Have you played this? Let us know in the comments what you think. We are going to try and get a playthrough of this one because I just like the idea of throwing stuff around the table. That's going to be fantastic. We are having our D&D Live is back on again this Friday night, 7 o'clock Australian Eastern Time. Charlotte and Ben, I should say, are nearing the end of their campaign through the romp that is the Lost Mine of Phandelver. So tune in for that if you haven't already. Thank you very much, as always, to our Patreon subscribers for allowing us to do all the crazy stuff we do here. Mwah! Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. We will see you back here soon for more crazy content. We've got some epic unboxings on the way. There is even some spooky stuff en route. Just got notifications about that today. And we have our free RPG day on the 23rd of July here in Australia, the International Free RPG Day. We're going to try and get some coverage of that as well. If you're interested, by all means, jump on board and we will see you there. Stay tuned, folks. If you haven't already, click that subscribe button so you stay in touch whenever we post new content, new videos. And we'll see you back here very soon for more awesome board gaming goodies. Until then, folks, we'll see you soon. Until then, I should say, it is bye for now.